Outer Orange.
Привет, welcome back, guys. I want to start doing a bunch of V decks. It is officially BCS season is basically over. I feel now is a good time to start talking about a lot of the decks I've been testing over the last couple months. Obviously, Worlds around the corner. V Premium isn't going to change too much from here on out, with the exception of the new grade ones we're getting. But aside from that, it'll basically be about the same for most of the decks. People might be changing a couple things here and there, but it'll probably stay the same. So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite decks, which is Grand Blue. So today I'm going to show you guys my V Premium list. This deck has changed quite a few times. Nothing too drastic. Usually my grade 1 slot is a slot that always moved around a lot, and then everything else kind of stayed about the same. Definitely over the course of the months, especially with the new promo coming out, I've definitely been shifting mainly the grade 1 slot. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Before I begin, I want to showcase you guys the sleeves and deck box that I'm using. So the deck box I'm using is actually Zero Damage Gaming deck box. Maxime actually sent me one of these, so probably so I could flaunt it. So here I am flaunting it. And this is what the inside looks like. Usually you get one of these. My cards are currently out, so this is what that would look like. You can have that in there, and then you have the top here. I'm not even gonna lie, I think it's upstairs, but there is a little dice thing in here that you can use. It's upstairs right now though, because I was using it for testing. And then for sleeves, I'm using the Dragon Shield sleeves. I've been absolutely obsessing over the Dragon Shields, and I love them so much. Sadly, I don't think I can competitively use them, but casually I've been really enjoying them. And the over sleeves are just regular Fisher Roots over sleeves. This deck definitely focuses on Night Rose. This is the first time with the grade 3s now, so this is definitely the main beef of the deck. This is what makes the deck tick basically. But her effect says when your rearguards attack or boost, they get 5k, and at the end of that battle they basically retire themselves. And the second effect says when she attacks, you can kind of blast pick a column, and you can call 2 cards to this column, and that's basically it. And also if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, she gets 10k power, so she's a 22k beater once your opponent rides up to 3. And that's basically the main thing. There's a lot of multi-attacking going on. The card kind of sounds like very whatever, but that 5k is like a huge difference. And then obviously calling to a column means you can respawn other cards too from your drop and stuff like that. So we'll kind of get into that here. So that's the Night Rose. We're on 2 copies of Beatrice. She is your attack extender. She says when placed, you can still blast call card, not herself. So you can basically use her as one of the column picks off of Rose, and you can basically recall like a dragon or a ghost ship or a promo, or whatever it is that you need, a greed shade, anything you need. Also on by herself, with a grade 1 behind her, she gets very beefy. She becomes like a 30k attacker, because you can call her and it's something behind her, and then use her effect to call something on the other side. So that's something you can do, and you can kind of extend that way. But yeah, this card is very important. It's the reason why this deck is like extremely functional. Just dragons, these are just dragons. You ideally only need 1 for combos, but it's nice to have the second one just in case the first one's damage. Realistically speaking, you only need 1 to kind of keep going. Once you find 1, you're basically fine, which is definitely a change. In the past, it's always been like you needed 2 and drop at like ASAP, but now you really only need 1. However, you don't want to damage your only copy, so you do want to run 2. If you damage both of them, I'm sorry, you should probably pick up a different deck, because it's that is really bad luck, and that should not be happening, because this deck does move through this deck a lot, and you should be at least finding 1 in your drop. I don't think I've ever damaged 2 with this deck before, but holy crap, that sounds like a really terrible time. If you guys don't know what this does, basically says on Vanguard Circle, it gets plus 2k for everything in your drop, and also self-retires itself on Vanguard Circle. So it gets really big at the end of the game. Usually it's like a 70, 80, 90k, sometimes attacking rearguard, so it gets very massive. Going into our grade 2s, we got Jesse. This is our counter charge extender. It also kills cards, which is really good, but basically on attack he gets plus 5k, and then he retires himself, and then if he didn't counter charge, you counter charge. And then his first effect says you can retire 2 rearguards on your board that's not himself and call him out. So that's also really useful. So you just get the free counter charge early on. He also self-retires himself, which means your opponent can't swing into it, which is also very important. Usually like a Jesse and Ghost Ship column is really good early on, because then you're like, my board's empty. What are you gonna do about it? You have to swing face, because swing face is very important. You want counter blast. This deck really wants counter blast, so you want to definitely utilize on Jesse. We run 4 column bards. I have a 2-2 split here with my graduations ones and my SP ones. But before column bard, I've always been like anti column bard. In V, he obviously is definitely more impactful. In Premium, I've definitely been more anti column bard. He is very important, and my biggest issue with him is my opponent playing around him. Sometimes I can play around back, but it makes the game so much harder if they don't give you the counter blast. But basically, this skill says when plays counter blast, search your deck for a card, put in drop, and then drop call card. And then it's a hard once per turn, meaning you can only be used once a turn, period, with his name and everything. Very impactful card. This card is insane. Obviously, it gets anything out of your deck, like I said, like the Skull Dragon I was just talking about that you hopefully didn't damage 2 of, and all that kind of stuff. So ghost ships, anything in your deck that you want to tutor out, you can get to it. Beatrice obviously is another very impactful card. There's a few. There's cutlasses, there's, you know, countercharging, drawing cards, reach shade. There's a bunch of stuff they want to get out of your deck. So because of that, this card is very impactful. So you definitely should be running this at 4. 2 ghost ship. I don't know. I tried 1 at some point because the space right now is so tight. But I'm not gonna lie, y'all, 2 is very important. There are some games that you have to grind out, like you're forced into a grind situation, and 1 ship just does not do it. And yes, you can, like with the promo, extend kind of similar to the Skull Dragon, but the issue with the same issue with the Skull Dragon, once you damage the 1 copy, oh my god, that sucks. And it's a little risky because this slot's taking up a greed shade slot right now, and it's been like that for a while. I've been at 2 for a hot second now, but I really think 2 is like definitely needed still. It sucks because these are not easy to guard with, but I really feel there have been games where I damaged the ghost ship and I just cry because I have no way to recover if my opponent, if it slaps my face. And the other thing is, the opponent sees the ghost ship and damage, they're like, oh my god, I can win the game. So, and especially since nowadays most people do run this at 1, I think 2 is very important. It kind of sucks because this card does force you, this card only is a beater and a draw, but losing out on this kind of sucks. Like sometimes you can ride up and win, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes there are games where you just have to, you need a couple more cards in your hand, and this card definitely is the saving grace for that. So I recommend 2. You can bump this down to 1, but I really recommend 2. Something that I'm not proud of, but I'm only running 1 greed shade right now. I'm not gonna lie, I hate it, but it's either I cut back a Bombard and a ghost ship for it, or I cut back like promo for it, and I just am still figuring this part out. But I am running 1 right now. I don't like running 1, but I've been between 1 and 2 for a while now. I've been on a 4-2 split basically between Bombard and Greed, Bombard being at 4, Greed being at 2. I will say this card does come up. It comes up less now than it used to. I will also say if you're being denied, this is definitely a good card to have in your possession, as riding stuff like this is like but, and also this card doesn't really help with your drop zone situation when you have situations when your drop just gets really low and you need a big drop. Yeah, this, you know, this comes up. I've been okay at 1, honestly. It hasn't been hurting me as badly, as funnily enough, as not seeing the ship, funnily enough. So I think I'm okay with 1. I just really love this card, and seeing it go down to 1 was like the saddest thing ever, because we had to replace it with basically the new guy, or the new homie on the block, which is the Riveting Franchi. This card is insane, especially in Grand Blue. So a lot of times when you play, so every single clan got one of these. The difference with Grand Blue is that because you discard this, you have access to it for the rest of the game. Most other decks do not. Once they discard it, it's gone. But Grand Blue being a drop zone deck, this is like ideal because you can bring it back over and over and over again. And this card extends attacks, and it just does a lot for the clan. This card is pretty nuts in V. I would say maybe in premium not so much, and maybe I feel like this is like a more of a different discussion in a different format. But in this format, with the current state and the meta, this is a very impactful card. Also, the fact that it's a top 5 search for any 2 or less is super important, because Grand Blue's biggest peak cards are in the 2s and the 1s. The 1s and 2s are just so cracked that this card, finding that stuff is insane. Long story short, this card's really good, and that's why for the first time, at least in my list, I had to cut back the Greed Shade. I have never cut back the Greed Shade. I have been cutting back Bombard before I cut back the Greed Shade, but this has been the first time in a while where I was like, all right, the Greed Shade's gotta go. I had this at 1 at some point, and I was like, nah, 1's not enough. 2 felt weird. 3 feels weird too, but it feels better than 1. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, basically on attack, you can counter blast with boost. You can basically call a card, and that sounds like okay from drop zone. That sounds like okay, whatever. But trust me, this extends like crazy. Card gets nuts, and like I said, the fact that you can pitch all of these, like literally all of them, and they're just gonna stay in your drop the entire game while you're getting better, more quality cards, and then this becomes a better quality card late game. It's just such a good combination. I think the grade 1s change how you play the deck. I'm gonna start with Bone because I think this is my 4 slot. But Bone's insane, especially now. This card has always been insane, but now it's even more insane. Its effect says you discard a card from hand and you call anything from drop. If you have 10 or more cards, if you don't have 10 or more cards, you can only call grade 1s or less. The later the game goes, the crazier this card gets. This card is absolutely busted. There's this concept of not playing with your hand. Maiden was really good at that, and this deck is also really good at that. And now, especially with the new promo and everything, this card is absolutely should be a 4 of. I don't think you can cut this card back. It's too important to see this as soon as possible. Destroying Banshee, you'll notice I have it at 3. Yes, I have this card at 3. It is better to have it at 4 because it's an on-ride effect, but we do have this little card right here that can kind of dig it out a little bit faster. I actually prefer it as its rearguard effect more so than its vanguard effect, but the vanguard effect also helps you stay in the game. This card helps you play around people that play that deny the Columbard, and that's the main reason why I run it. But also it is a gradual mill throughout the game, and this is very important. Her ability basically says on place on Vanguard Circle, you search your deck up to 1 card, discard it, so you can discard anything. Typically you want to discard either a ship or Skull Dragon early so that way you don't damage them, or you know, other pieces. Let's just say you don't have Night Rose yet, so you need the Greed Shade, so you might want to, you know, grab the Night Rose, pitch that out, pitch out Beatrice. So you can even, if your hand's like perfect, you can, you know, grab one of these. You can grab Jesse. You have a lot of options, a lot of really good options, and usually this can impact the game. What you grab early is very important. So yeah, and the second effect says at the end of the battle she boosted or attacked, you can mill 2. If you mill a trigger, retire her, draw a card. So very useful. If you mill normal units, okay, cool, she stays on the board. If you're not on Night Rose, if you're on Night Rose, she'll retire anyway, and then on Night Rose, she'll retire anyway, but if you hit the trigger, redraw. So it's very useful. The draw is good and you're milling. It's a gradual, this is like more consistency. This is like basically the, if I don't want to play Navigator, I play this package. I'm a weird person. I actually play a 3-3 right now. Yeah, I'm weird. I don't think most people do this. I found this, for me personally, as how I play the deck, I found this to be pretty optimal. I know it sounds weird, but yes, I run 3 Banshee and 3 Navigator. Most either run this at 4 and this at 2, or they run this at 4 and this at 1, or they won't run this at all and they'll run other cards and they'll run this at 4. I prefer the 3-3 split because it's just enough to where I see the cards, and it's not too little where I don't see the cards. It's not too much where they're taking up too many slots. Again, because of this card, you can find these cards pretty fast, and because of that, I think cutting back ratios to 3 is not as weird as it sounds. But I'm gonna move this to the side. We're gonna talk about Navigator, what he does. Basically, it says res 2 rear guards and you mill 5. Very, very simple effect, and the more grade 1s you have, the easier it is to proc this. So you notice we've been going through a lot of grade 1s. That's because you want more grade 1s in this deck because of how this card works. You can cut this back to 2 and put in the extra Banshee if that's what you want to do. I think that's perfectly fine. 3 of the Cutlass. I really, really value Cutlass. When I first saw this card revealed, I actually had Cutlass at 4, and I was like, God, the Cutlass at 4, that's where it's at, because this is a counterblast, and this deck does counterblast a lot. Like a lot. It doesn't seem like it does, but between Columbard, Night Rose, and now the promo, you will go through your CV quite quickly. So I put the Cutlass at 4 originally, and then I was kind of tossing around how I want to do it. But basically, this card says you can buy a copy of itself, call this out from drop, and you mill a card and counter. Very impactful. You can use it early, you can use it late game, you can use it at any point. It's a free rearguard on the board in a deck that retires its rearguards. This is very important. It makes magic numbers behind Vanguard if you play behind Vanguard. Also, you need boosters for her. So because you need boosters for her, this also comes up quite a lot. And because of that, yes, this is a very important card. You can, there's been some lists recently, like Sage and a couple other people have been running it the other guy. It's up to you how you want to do it. I'm not really a fan of one place from hand cards, especially in V. Yeah, it's really up to you how you want to play. I prefer the Cutlasses. I do agree the Cutlasses take up more space. And because of space issues, the Cutlasses can be a little rough because since they have to bind themselves, you need to at least run 3. This is like it's a 3 or 4 or nothing. Like you can't put this at 1, you can't put this at 2. It has to be 3 or 4 or nothing. So I've chosen to keep it at 3. It's been fine for me, but everyone plays it differently. Plus, I have one little Tommy, another card that was very sad to cut out. My old list ran like 4 Tommies and 4 Greed Shades, you know, the usual consistency package. I really liked it. I ran 4 of the Banshee, but now I run 1. I'm a little sad about this because the number of this is very impactful. It's not really so much the grade 3 search, though that is important. This is a grade 3 searcher, by the way. It's really the 5k that it gets on the, it's a 13k beater, but it's actually an 18k beater on Night Rose turns. I've made a whole video about this card that said play your Tommies a long time ago, back when I was like a little baby person. Nobody knew who the heck I was, because a lot of people were playing Navigator, and I was like, bro, like if you want to play more consistently, just play this, because this card finds you Skull Dragons, it finds you Night Rose. It's very consistent. It's a really important beater on turn 3 because the number it makes, the 18k, does matter. Being an 18k body does matter into magic numbers. It matters into force decks. It does make a difference, and especially now with the boost off of this number is very impactful. I know I'm saying a lot about this card. It's kind of funny I run it at 1 for how much I'm saying. I just don't have enough space with how my deck is functioning to put this up but if I were to like lower something, then I could probably throw this in. Maybe cut a navigator, probably put another copy of this in. I did have 2 at some point, but I moved my ratios around, obviously. But yeah, this card is pretty impactful. The triggers are pretty standard, I would say. We're running the heal guardians. This is just heal guardians, just the usual, you know, nothing crazy here. You use them to guard early, and then late game they're just 50k shields. The sentinels, I have been like this for a while, where I run 3 draws in one of the crit sentinel. I don't want to run 4 because there's that random chance of deck out. I'm a little fearful of Ange because they can Martoa me to deck out, and in case I still have a draw on deck, that's really risky. So I run the 3-1 split. I've had 4 before because I was like, man, you really want to see your pieces, and again, because of people denying Bombard, having the extra draw does kind of help. But I really value the 30k shield, especially into matchups like Davos. You can drop this down and then just against their triple drive and be safe. You can go 2-2. 2-2 is a little risky, definitely more greedy. You can go all 4 of the crit sentinels and be super greedy. That's perfectly fine too. This deck can be a super greedy deck if that's how you want to play it. On greedy levels, it's insanely high roll and insanely high ceiling. The deck is like insane at greedy levels, but the downside is like if your mulligan sucks, you kind of struggle. So definitely be wary of that. Next we have just critical triggers, just your standard crits. We do have the Bang Dream crits now. I've been slowly upgrading my triggers. I really like the green one. I like this one because it's just green and it's my favorite color. So 4 more crits after that. So that's basically the deck. You actually want to run the Ghosty starter. It's actually important. I know Grenache is amazing. I trust his SP and everything, but you actually really need this one. On the off chance you do misride, your only saving grace is the starter, the grade 1 Tommies and the Jessie and Beatrice herself. It can make a difference. I know it sucks, but you should be running this one over the other one. And this is definitely a Protect 1 deck over a Protect 2 deck. However, there are some very rare situations where you might go Protect 2 if you need to close out really fast. If there's a deck there's situations where you know you're gonna die, that 5k does come up and it makes the numbers insane. And if you open the nuts and your drop zone's huge, you potentially could 2-6 your opponent on first ride. It's a little hard, but you can do it. I want to show you guys how the promo is impactful. We'll do a mulligan run. All right, so I'm back. My deck's right here. We're gonna go ahead and see what our top 5 is looking like. Actually, a really solid top 5. We'll go ahead and set back these for sure. Bottom deck the 2. We don't really need them right now. And see what we draw into. Oh my god, even better. I drew my 1 of. That's crazy. Oh my god, I'm a gamer. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we did our mole. We do need to figure out if we're going first or second. So I'm gonna roll a dice. I got a 5. Only got a 4, so we are going first. So we'll go ahead and get started. So we're gonna go this. Definitely ride the Banshee here. Search first. So I think here we actually just want to go ahead and grab the Ghost Ship here. I can grab Ghost Ship or Greed Shade or something, but I think Ghost Ship is fine here. And then we'll just draw a card. You can grab a lot of things here. You can grab Jessie, Beatrice. I really want to draw from our cards, so I'm actually okay with grabbing Ghost Ship, and then we'll draw. And I could have played this one. I'm actually gonna wait a turn. Sometimes it's okay to wait a turn, so I'm gonna wait on that. And then if we really want to go a little bit deeper, we can also drop the Tommy. Tommy gets us a potential heal guard. I don't know if we need it here so much, so I think we'll just let that whiff and we already have one in hand, so we're okay. Don't need to go super crazy on that. And then yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take our first damage if they give it to us. It is a Bombard, very unfortunate. We draw it into a Negrabode. Oh yeah, that's why I didn't Frenchie, because I don't have another grade 2. So go ahead and ride the grade 2 here, and we'll probably actually call the bone back here, and we're gonna go ahead and swing and actually counterblast and call the ship. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna hit a Beatrice, which is actually super important here, and then we'll swing with the Ghost Ship, kill the Ghost Ship, and draw a card. Oh god, that's really good. So I'm assuming they're gonna give us the damage. It's kind of hard to say if they are or not, but we're gonna assume that they are gonna give us the damage. We're just playing normal game of Vanguard here. So we're gonna go ahead, we drew into a PG. We're gonna ride our Night Rose here, pick up a Protect 1, and basically here, I think we're just gonna call board and just go crazy. So we'll Soul Blast and call this out, actually right here. And then we'll probably just call a Cutlass over here so we can get to drop, and I think we're good. We're gaming right now. So here we go. We're gonna have some fun. So we're gonna swing with the Cutlass. This is gonna be 14, 24, and we don't have a drop actually yet. So it's just, we could have probably done the Navigator, but earlier on, but it's okay. This is a 14, 24. This will die, and then we'll swing with the Beatrice, and this is gonna be there's gonna be 30 total, and then we'll use her effect at the end of battle. We'll mill 2. We did hit 2 triggers actually there, so we'll draw 1. We return to another trigger. These die, and then on boost, we'll use the Rose effect here. We'll put it on grade 2 so that will scale or anything like that, and we'll probably do just that. We'll probably do the same repeat again, where we're actually gonna do the Banshee column, and then we'll call Ghost Ship on the other side with the Soul Blast. So there's that, and then we're gonna go ahead and draft check a Skull Dragon and a Frenchie, and then we will swing this way, or whichever way is better. This is 29, this is 30. We'll swing this way, draw a card, and then we'll swing with this again, mill 2, and we'll kill it, and we don't draw, and this dies too. And now it's our opponent's turn. Our hand's looking pretty nice. We can probably whip out a PG somewhere, since we don't want that. We don't want the Skull Dragon there. Take some damage. Oh, that is, oh my god, wow. This deck really says screw you. No combat for you. So this is really rough actually for us. This is actually super bad, but it's okay. We'll try and recover, but that is very, very rough. I think here we're just gonna have to wing it and kind of just go for it. We have to actually kind of, I know it's stupid, we actually have to try and go for a game here. Do we even have bones? Okay. Oh no, the bone is in our hand. Oh no. I think we're gonna have to call over this bone and literally call a crit here. Like, I know that sounds stupid, and then we'll go ahead and use Bone's effect to bottom deck this and call a card. And we're gonna have to call Frenchie. Call this in the back, and then we'll use this ability to get the other bone to the bottom. This is where bone recovers like crazy. And we're gonna just basically call the Tommies here. And I think ideally we actually want it to be like this. Oh, why did I call Frenchie? It wasn't supposed to be Frenchie, it was supposed to be you want it to be like this. That's why the crit made sense on that side. Anyway, so this is like usually you want like Cutlasses back here, but we're obviously breaking a little bit here. That was really rough. So without not seeing the column bars or any, it was damaging 2 column bars and not seeing anything else is a little rough, but we're making it work. Anyway, so this is the 7 attack combo here that I'm going to show you. Basically, let's pretend that things aren't like absolutely crap like they are right now. The fact that we have to call these just to like exist right now, and damaging the Jessie. This is our damaging the Jessie. It was pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie, but it's okay. Anyway, so this is basically, we're gonna go for the full, we're gonna try to kill here because we have literally nothing else to do because we're dead next turn. So everything's gone. So you're gonna swing with the Skull Dragon first, unboosted, and then you're gonna kill the dragon, and then you're gonna swing with Frenchie, boosted, and activate the ability to call anything you want, and we're gonna go ahead and call the dragon again. This is pretty small, it's just 24. But hey, it's still a number. This will die. Then you want to swing with the Skull Dragon again, unboosted, and kill with that die. Then you're going to swing with this, activate Night Rose's ability to go ahead and call a dragon here, a Beatrice here, and Frenchie again. Frenchie will be on this side now. So the reason why the Tommy matters here is because now let's pretend your opponent hit defenses or something. This is the biggest booster in your deck. So because of that, now this number is way more unguardable. And if had this been like a Cutlass or Negrabone or anything else, the number changes. So we're swinging, this is 22. I put the 5k now because it does matter. This is 22, 27. Now it's a little bit more annoying to block. Actually, no, it's not. It's 33 because this is a 10k booster now because of her effects, which is very important. So we're gonna go ahead and drive check. This is actually really massive. So something important about this crit trigger. The Skull Dragon is really, really big. So what you always want to do is you want to put the power here and you want to put the crit here. You never want to put like everything here, or everything here. You ideally usually want to put the crit here and the power here. Now, of course, if your opponent's at 5, then you can kind of, play around with it. But ideally, the power will always want to go here because this is already big. Ideally, not in my world where my drop zone's small, but let's pretend the drop zone isn't small. But yes, you always want to basically split, and that's something that's really big here. So basically, the 10k goes here, and then you mark the crit with whatever you want here. So that's how you always want to do it. Let's do a second check. It's Beatrice. And then now here you want to swing for the 2 damage. So this will be 2 damage swinging. You'll let this die, and then you want to swing with this. But this is huge right now, by the way. And you want to Counterblast. We have no more Counterblast left, and then you want to recall the dragon back out. And this is now 17, 27, 32, 42. Swing at your opponent's face. And like I said, sometimes you can put the crit here if you feel you need to, but ideally you don't want to do that. And then these will finally die, and this will be your final attack here, and that will be the Skull Dragon, and yeah, and that's it. And after that, we die. Yay! So that's basically how the deck functions. As you saw there, our hand was not the greatest. We didn't see Navigator that game, and maybe I should have milled. Like I said, remember I said how the early mill is very impactful. Maybe I should have grabbed the Navigator early on, and that's probably where I misplayed while doing a little Mulligan run there. It does happen. I just went for the Ghost Ship because I saw it was just the one card that wasn't in my hand, and I knew I was going to need it for some drawing power. So it felt right to me. But it also just depends on, we did go first, so we had a pretty healthier state. Maybe we weren't going to 5 that quickly. I don't know. It just kind of just depends on what's going on. But that's basically the Mulligan run. I did show you guys kind of briefly, really quick there. The 7 attack play works with the boosting along with the dragon. You can also do that exact same play with the Ghost Ship, by the way. So you can do a very, very similar strategy with the Ghost Ship as well. You can also on turn 2 do some of these kind of shenanigans where you basically just have something like this. If your opponent like gives you like a ton of early damage, you can have like a board like this too. Very early on, like very early on, you can definitely have a board state like this, and you can, you know, swing with this and then swing with her and use her ability and call out the ship here and then swing with the ship. This is something you can do early on, especially if you open the Cutlasses really early. You can kind of go super aggro. Yeah, this deck's really fun. I actually think this deck got a lot more fun. I actually have found a lot of appreciation for this deck versus older versions of this deck, because it actually feels like the deck is playing like it should have been playing. It feels like a Grand Blue deck now, more so. I feel like your decisions matter more, and it just feels like a deck. Like, it doesn't feel so weird, and like before it felt kind of like it was missing something, and now it definitely feels more complete. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoy that. Good luck in your Grand Blue shenanigans. Let me know below what kind of decks you're playing. You can always go to fidcards.shop, OuterOrange for all your goodies, and I don't know how much free product he has, but maybe he has a free product too for you out there. Maybe in the play collections, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, check it out there. Other than that, guys, I'm gonna head out. So peace out. That's been on. See you guys in a future video. Bye.